Here we go. Firehouse Vigilance, weekly scrap, number 45. Excited tonight to have Justin Mann on. 17 years in the fire service, currently with Edmond Fire Department in Oklahoma. Training has been a huge part of Justin's career, from adjutant instructor with Fire by Trade, with Brian Brush, heavily involved with Mid-America Fools, OKC Metro Chapter, partner in Woods Forcible Entry, FDIC, hands-on training instructor, his passion for the fire service and first due engine company operations. He's involved with Stretching for Success. Of course, his opinions do not necessarily reflect those of his department. I always like to give him the caveat. And so with all of that being said, welcome to Weekly Scrap, number 45. Justin, excited to have you here.
Thanks a lot, Corley. This is awesome, man. It's humbled to be on here, especially with the lineup that you've had on here, man. Truly I'll be on here with you and share the night.
I appreciate it, man. It's going to have a lot of fun talking engine company operations, hose, fire service culture. It's going to be a good time. To everyone watching live, if you have questions for me or Justin, please post them in the Facebook, and I will promise to read them out. And so with that going, we will kick this off. And basically, I'm going to throw it right to you, Justin, and say, just out the get-go, just kind of tell us your story, how you got to where you're at today.
Where I am today. Well, by the grace of God, by all means. That is exactly why I am where I am today. That is between him and saving me and then sending me my wife to finally tame this horse down. That is for dang sure. But as far as the fire service goes, man, I started volunteering out in Amarillo, Texas, where I'm from. Met my wife. We moved out to Oklahoma, got on the airport for several years, and then finally got motivated. I was in a huge rut there. Got motivated, started testing, got on Edmond, and I spent the last 13, a little over 13, right at 13 now, with Edmond. So currently at the driver position, spent about right at 3 years in the train division. And that's where, when Brush came on, I was one of the instructors for the academy, which was in a sense a little intimidating all on its own when you got that guy coming into your fire academy, and you're like, it was fun though, man. Didn't really know him much, knew him about 6 months prior to that, got talking, and so it's been growth beyond, exponential growth if you want to throw it with the Brush's class and everything else. But since I've met him and getting just really into the job beyond that, it's been awesome, man. But driving, I've been over for a little over 3 years now. Looking to, whenever the promotions come up, let's see where the cards lie, going to the lieutenant to the captain level, see where it can take.
Where it's going to end. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And the crazy part is how much, when you meet someone, I call them oxidizers, but how much oxidizers can affect the passion and fire of other people and flaming them up. Because Brian Brush had a massive impact on me also. So it's crazy how those people impact. Is there something, and this is a question, I've really fallen in love with this question over the last few scraps because I've talked to some guys with a lot of time on. Is there something you have learned since you were a young man, basically, and you have learned over that period of time that a young version of you would have laughed at or even called BS on?
A young version of me. I'd say maybe through the college years, I was actually majoring to be a teacher coach, and I completely changed my mindset there to become a fireman. And if at that point in time, which was, I was gonna major in college algebra and go do the professor thing and everything else. And I literally, I did the whole tutor deal for the college algebra class for one semester. And it taught me one thing, is that I can't deal with people that don't understand math. So I thought it was literally the end of my teaching career, and really didn't think it was going to go anywhere beyond that. Man, I got into the fire service, and now that where I am today, and that's exactly what I'm doing, is between the training division at the station level, going around nationally and teaching. I have pretty much come full circle. It's just what God has made me to do, between taking spiritual gifts tests and everything else. That's it to be a teacher. So
full circle.
And it's pretty awesome. It's fun. Yeah.
So have you now that you're dealing with, instead of like at college algebra, but you're dealing with friction loss and coefficients, has it changed when you run into someone who can't quite grasp it?
No, it's a little bit more patient now, a little bit older now, okay. So I got a little bit more patience. But all in all, it is funny when you come across some old school guys that might be from the pump to the end of the nozzle type people, instead of the tip pressure, work it back. That's just kind of how my mind started working over the time was, is working from the tip back to the pump and things like that. And some people just, it doesn't make sense. And still to this day, it's like 50 PSI to the tip and they're trying to actually, pump 50 PSI. And it's like, this line won't work, but the simplicity of flux and everything else, it's funny.
Gotcha. So patience is basically what you've learned over that period of time.
It's a continuous growth. Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Okay. Now, a big thing for you is finding that balance in the fire service. You touched on it earlier. We were talking on the phone, and you said balance in the fire service and balance in lifestyle. So I want you to talk on that for a minute and hit on that, because that is something you're passionate about.
Yeah, man. I love this job. I love going to work. It's, I'm there at 6, check-ins at 7, whatever it is. I'm going to be there. My wife thinks I'm crazy sometimes. She doesn't understand the mindset with it, whatever it is, but I love the job. So when it comes to, question again was
lifestyle.
Again, real quick.
Balance and lifestyle.
Yeah, that's right.
Balance.
So, and that goes to it, man. This job can eat you up, depending on how much you're into it and everything else. It can eat you up. It can take your time. It can take your family's time. And it depends on what you're chasing, I guess. Are you chasing to be better at the job? Are you chasing to be famous in the job? Are you do you want to be the next Brian Bucks? Or what are you wanting to do? What do you want to be? How busy do you want to be? Is it your life, your second, your third job type deal? And it's all you ever do. And I get it. And that's really what I do. But over the time, when it was about 8 years ago that we had the opportunity to go to the RIT train the trainer at FDTN. And after that's when it sparked for me. I got into the training side, I got into the job, I got into the details, and it opened my eyes to what was actually out there, not just in a bubble that I had been in. And so with that, it was I wanted all of it. I wanted every opportunity. I wanted everything it was. I wanted to be involved in everything. I wanted to be a tech at everything, man. And you can do it. Don't get me wrong. But there are going to be people, you are going to sacrifice whatever that is. And it's going to be usually your time with your family to be able to accomplish something that, and it's one thing to be going and taking the classes and saying, hey, I got the tech course, whatever, but to truly be on the technician team, whichever it is, the skill set of anything else. And that's kind of where I've made my bed is with the engine. I love trucks, but we don't run trucks really. We have a truck, but it's more, manning personnel and things like that. It's not getting roofs and doing a lot of different things, but it's more just a secondary engine almost at the scene. So my specialty team, whether it was TRT for a little bit, getting not into dive or swift water or anything like that, but then it was truly the engine. Engine became my specialty, and my world opened up after meeting brush and nozzle reactions and charts and all this stuff. It was just everything was just amazing. Water Fire Conference, anything down in Pensacola, period. It was just it was amazing. So that's really the passion where it comes from and where it kind of led to. So, but the balance of it all, man, became very hard because it took if you see a strong man, usually what do you have behind them?
Strong woman.
One hell of a woman, man.
Right.
And it takes one hell of a woman to call you out on your BS, because through all that, there was a lot of conferences, there was a lot of drinking, a lot of nonsense, things that I had to overcome, not on my own, but by being saved and giving my life back to Jesus Christ and getting sober for over 2 years. And
nice. Because
I was going down a rabbit hole that you see many firemen get fired because of, or divorced because of, I wanted to be something. I didn't know what I wanted to be. And it was just I was filling a cup up and it never was full. And until I kind of came to my senses and realized where I wanted to lay my bed and get into my little niche or whatever it was, it finally started making sense, man. And you watch guys finally get into the job, and then it's all the podcasts, right? It's amazing the level of podcasts that are out there.
Oh, absolutely.
The leadership, the engine. I mean, there's everything. If you want to get to know something, podcast for it. But when you first get into the job, it's like this sea of stuff, and you just start taking it in, every morning listening to something different going back and forth to work. And you get ate up and you never actually spend time with yourself and being able to reflect with yourself and being able to find kind of who you are. And you're just trying to be all these different things until it took probably about 2 years of that. Finally, it's like, I can't, this is eating me up, and I've got to find a way to balance it all out. And it was picking and choosing, there's been opportunities along the way that with being with Fire by Trade and that spanning off and becoming into the part of the cadre for success. And there are times that you have to say no. You get called up, and man, that was a huge call up, not only with working with Brush and Fire by Trade, but getting with Steve Robertson and stretching for success cadre. I was like in la land, man. We're at FDIC. I was volunteering, and Brush got me there. That was exactly what Steve told me. When we got there and he looked at me and saw me, he didn't need for anything. He said, "Hey, Brush got you here, but it'll be up to you whether you stay here or become a part of this cadre." And I took that personal, man. And I work ethic and professionalism and everything about it.
Sure. It's like a challenge.
Yeah, man. I did what I had to do, and Steve saw it, and man, we had a lot of good conversations and still to date. But at the same time, just because Steve calls doesn't mean it's like, I got to drop everything and go, man. Still got to take my family. And just like right now, I would absolutely love to be on the beach in Pensacola, Florida. But guess what? I get to be with you, and we're talking, and who knows what we're reaching right now.
Right.
But it was my son's birthday this week, and it was a no-go.
Right.
At first, when it first came up, I was like, I'm going to go. I'm going to go. COVID and everything else. Who knows what was going to happen back then. But I was like, I'm going. My wife was like, that's Easton's birthday. I was like, all right, the decision's made. I'm not going to miss his birthday. So I wanted to be down there, and I was hoping there was a small little window. So schools were going to go all virtual. And I was just going to take the whole family down there.
Right.
Go have his birthday on the beach. But that's really the balance part of me getting into it and ate up with it, and taking it possibly a little too far just between all the conferences and getting out there and away from home way too much. As firemen, we're already away from home. So it's very selfish aspect to think that I'm really that important in this world that I can go do what I do and sacrifice with my family. So that's really
and we do ask
my family.
We do ask a lot of our families just in the normal performance of our job and our schedule. So it's easy for us to say, well, they're used to it. You know what I'm saying? That's expected, and it's real easy to fall into that trap of, well, they're just used to this, and that's what they expected. Yeah. They'll understand. My job's important, right?
That's exactly what I did, because it was, the easiest thing to do is plan a conference, or if somebody was wanting a class, plan it over a 4-day, right?
Right.
That made sense. I didn't have to take time off. I could take other time off if I needed to be with my family, but then I go from my last shift and I'm gone for 3 days, and I'm back one shift and I'm back on shift. It's like, it's killing it, man. Why would you ever, you're basically making your wife a single parent at that point, and that's just not right. So that's my advice. Getting into the teaching or anything else, man.
Get into it, but don't lose sight of what's the most important.
For sure, man.
Keep those priorities straight. I like that. All right, let me put my notes up here. Get back to my notes. The flip side of that, because also there is something else about that, and that's pushing so hard, like getting into the job, pushing so hard, and bringing it back to the station. You had some words on that earlier. I didn't know if you wanted to touch on
that. Yeah, which in general, I guess, rank and leadership, informal, formal leadership. When we finally started getting to go to FDIC, it was a young, informal leadership group, and trying to bring it back to the department. It was hard. Don't get me wrong. We had people that didn't want to hear it. They didn't have any stock in us, right, because we really didn't have the great tenure. We didn't have the rank and all that. But over time, that's where, our nozzle study project started in 2015 and then ended in 2019 when we finally made the majority of the changes for the nozzles. And then it continued to this year, making the final kind of transition to the low pressure nozzles with the sniper hose, Greer. And it took it was actually 6 years almost.
Wow.
And that's hard. Looking back at it, but it was like, wow. But, it did happen though. And it was being persistent, believed in what we were doing and did it. And then station level, man, we all are on the crews. We know that 10 to 20% of the people in whatever department it is are all in. if you have 20% of your department that's all in, that you could look at any one of them in your station right now and be like, hey, let's go throw hose. You have no problem asking, let's go do some different hose loads, let's go do whatever. And it's without a hesitation, they're there. That is awesome, And you have that middle ground that's just there, that's going to kind of go back and forth. They want to do a good job. They want to serve their citizens. They want to do everything that they want to do. But then, when they're out of the fire service, when they're gone from the station, that's not their gig, their father, part-time business, whatever it is. And I can understand and appreciate that. Running the part-time business that we run with the Woods Door deal. I mean, it takes time away. It takes time at the station sometimes on weekends and nights, whatever it is. But as far as the station level, man, and I know you've had my captain on, Jeremy Sanders.
Jeremy, yeah.
Freaking amazing guy, man. He is that guy that is 8 up right now, and he's got his own Crew First Culture podcast. Toss that one out there if you haven't heard that.
Oh yeah,
jump on it. But man, it is so awesome to have a captain, a guy in a formal leadership position that is just the one that's like, hey, what are we doing today? Hey, what do we got? Instead of it coming from the bottom up, right. Water boiling from the bottom up. I get it, but it's really awesome when you have that captain, and then you have a guy like me, and then you got a couple other firefighters that are engaged, and it's like boom. But there's always going to be those guys that aren't. They could care less the complete details of it all. They want to know how to do it,
sure,
and they can do it, but they don't care the mechanical advantage or the leveraging and all that stuff. It's just they want to do it. They want to do the job. They want to be good at it. But if you go out there constantly, day in and day out, and beat them down, depending on your attitude or anything else, or shaming them out there all the time, you got to let them be them and let them have their time. But that doesn't stop us from going out there and doing it. It just, they might need a break for the day, personal reasons, who knows what. But being able to read people, being able to see where they're at and push them when they need to be pushed, and, get them involved. But man, we can, and I've seen it, push too hard. You get out there, you start shaming people. People think you're better than them, or you have that perception that you're making them look bad. And really, if you can just be quiet, the informal quiet leader, and just keep doing it, and then you gain one more, and then you gain one more, and then the guys that are sitting in the recliners, eventually are sitting in the recliners by themselves, and they start turning their head, and nobody's around, and nobody likes to be alone.
Right on.
Nobody wants to be that guy. They did not get into the fire service to be that guy. Whether it was a culture or time or an event in their life that they became that guy, man, nobody. If you find yourself that guy, you find yourself in a station of 10 guys and you're by yourself, you better start thinking like something's not right here. Yeah, I'm not doing something right.
Time to look in that mirror.
Yeah. So.
No, that's awesome. Hey, and I love the fact that you said that. Frank Viscuso, and I quote him all the time because it's such a great. I don't remember where he got the quote from, but it's in his book, Step Up and Lead, and he says, "If you can lead one, you can lead many, but if you can't lead one, you can't lead any." And I love that because that's exactly what you're saying here. Is hey, take care of yourself, get out there and throw it, and eventually that next guy steps in, then the next guy. I love that, man. That's awesome.
Yep. And it's I could say being that guy, if you're out there constantly doing it, not that it's exhausting, but like always having to carry people.
Oh yeah.
Like people, there's those people that just sometimes you're always having to carry them. And
I'll say it for all the guys out there. It is exhausting. No, especially when you're not getting any buy-in. But go ahead.
Yeah, and but over time though, start seeing the effort and or just sitting down and telling you, man, I need some action here. I need somebody else to come up with something. And I'm really hard about that, and I've done it. I've caught myself several times at the station. It's like, hey man, what do y'all want to do today? Come up with something. I'm like, well, I throw in my 2 cents, and then something changes, and they're like, well, why didn't you just come up with it on your own anyways? And I'm like, dang, I did it again. But you gotta step back. You can't micromanage. You got to give them that leeway to come out and grow on their own, and personally, and confidence to be able to talk about the things that they want to talk about, whether it's irons or ladders or forcible entry, through lock, whatever it is. So they will find something that they really like, and it'll be fun with.
Awesome. What kind of dog you got? Sounds like
I have an Australian shit. Yeah, well, that one's my Schnauzer. He's actually more of the
like a mini
crazier feisty. No, he's just a regular Schnauzer.
Okay.
We rescued him from the country out here.
I got you.
acres out here in southeast OKC, and got Australian Shepherd, and we don't have any fence lines or anything.
Okay.
And they know their boundary and they stick with it, and they pretty much protect. But that Schnauzer will run off just about anything. The Australian Shepherd will sit there and bark, but she won't go after them.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of
funny
their roles. But
3 giant schnauzers. That's why I asked what kind of schnauzer it was. So love giant schnauzers. But anyway, moving on. I could talk about dogs too. But now, engine company operations. Engine company operations. They are the bread and butter of the fire service. There is no doubt. I don't think anybody's going to argue that. How important is it to be plugged into the basics?
Oh, extremely. I mean, to me, if you don't know the basics, I mean, it was Jim McCormick that stated, he said, you want an advanced class, then show me advanced skill. Nice. Because everybody out there is always like, man, I want technician, I want 3 times this class. I want it,
right.
I want it to be an extreme fire with RIT. And you're like, okay, that's cool. I get it. You want some crazy,
scenario.
Smoke diver, dude. Amazing smoke diver program. It is an extreme program. And, but do you have the basics down first? And I don't know if another plug for FDTN, man. When I went up there for that RIT train the trainer, it opened my world. It humbled me completely, because I thought, McCormick says, everybody thinks they're this big. You can't see my hands probably on the screen. I don't know. But everybody thinks they're this big, when in reality, here's our skill set, right?
Right.
We're not as good as we really think we are. And so honing the basics, over and over and over. Is there really an advanced class? Is there really tricks of the trade? No, it's just being a professional, being into the job and figuring things out.
Right on.
So an advanced class really is not, it's no more than an expansion off the basics. I mean, it's not anything different really. I mean, you're still doing, if you're not good at that basic level of forcible entry with irons and knowing complete tool. We've had the benefit of going around teaching forcible entry quite a bit, and being around different cadres and different instructors teaching forcible entry. Some will be completely ads and not even talk or teach the forks. Some will be completely forks and not even teach the ads. And it's to each their own.
Right.
I mean, whatever they feel like is going to work, and I get it. But our whole mindset with forcible entry, the Woods Forcible team, the cadre, everybody, is to teach the entire tool. Know that entire tool, to say if it is reinforced and the ads doesn't beat it, then I'm not looking like a fool trying to flip around the tool, messing with it, going with different odds and ends and not truly knowing how to use it. So that way it's, to me, and when we teach it, sometimes I'll talk about it. To me, it's like a dance, man. It is dancing with that tool. And I can literally in rhythm between the ads, going to the forks, grabbing my gap with the axe, and then coming around back on it and forcing the door with my foot, keeping my progress and everything about it. But just the maneuvering of the body, to me, is a dance. There's a rhythm to it.
Right.
And if you know that tool and you know how it's going to work, then to me, that's how it is. But so the company operations is not just pulling hose though. And I think you completely agree, coming from where you're at.
Sure.
The smaller departments, but the smaller departments are what dominate the country's fire service. Is the 200 minus firefighters, not your big city where you have dedicated trucks and all that, to where we have to be not good, but we have to be excellent at all things, to me.
Yeah,
whether
swapping
it's
hats.
Ladders,
yes.
Whether it's, we have to be able to swap hats. Now, how can we better ourselves? How can we set ourselves up for success when we talk about having to do all those things? Does everybody on that rig's got to be able to do those things? But when you come into work, are you putting, per se, that playbook mindset into play, where I show up on the rig, I know what seat I'm in, I know my assignments for the day, whether it's on a fire, on a full arrest, on a general medical call, on automatic alarm. It's amazing to be able to have that playbook mindset.
Awesome.
Because to me, it takes a lot of stress off of everybody that's in there, and the officer knows then what everybody's going to be doing. So there's not any freelancing. You shouldn't have to talk much unless you're changing the plan. And then we're audibling out, and then he's having to change whatever it is. But
no, absolutely. Everybody starts.
You got your.
Yeah. Sorry. I mean, everybody starts on the same page, and they're cutting from there and going. Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, that's
And
awesome.
I've worked in both environments where I showed up to work and right at 7 o'clock, I finally got assigned a seat, and it was just random. It was like, hey, if the fire's on my side, I'm the nozzle guy. If the fire's on your side, you're the nozzle guy. And so like you're heading down the road, trying to look over your shoulder to see which side of the street the fire's on. And then you got smoke blowing across, and you don't even know where the fire is. And then much less you're like, well, who's going to do what now? And it's like, no, man, don't. People talk about the first domino falling and the domino effect, and just being able to eliminate that. I want a constant where there's a variable, and I talk about that in the engine class and hose and nozzles and everything else, is that constant. And maybe it's Legear. I think it was Legear. I could be wrong, but I think he talks big on, having a constant where there's, you don't want variables. You want constants where in those situations, that way those dominoes don't fall.
I love that. And the crazy part is I've been on crews myself where, hey, if the fire's on your side, you grab the nozzle, was a really good plan compared to other crews, And so it's all relative. And that's the crazy part about the fire service is the expectation from department to department, from rig to rig, from crew to crew is that varied.
Yeah.
And so, And then you touched on it right there, which is I love the engine guy versus truckie guy debate / rivalry, and I love busting chops and things like that. But truthfully, my department, we don't have truckies. We have ladder companies that are manned by when it's time for the ladder to be toned out, the engine guys jump on it and take it to the fire, and it's an apparatus with a giant ladder. Oh, by the way, fire by trade, Brian Brush said, the man, with man in all caps and 2 N's. So just saying hi to you. But
what's up, BB?
The ladder company shows up, and it's not truly, there are no true truckies. And so, and like you said, the majority of the fire service, 3 to 5 stations, 70 to 150 guys. That's the majority of the American fire service in suburbia. So touching on that, how do you keep your skill set up whenever that's going on? Just what's your thoughts on that, basically, is what I'm throwing at you.
Man, I'll tell you, it's really, you got to have a plan. If you're, what is the saying? If you fail to plan to fail.
Plan to fail.
Right. So, I mean, honestly, like get it some sort of schedule where you're hitting those skill sets, revolving the daily routine, and we've kind of come up with something like that instead of, every morning at the breakfast table, just sitting around and start tossing around, hey, what do y'all want to do today? And it's just something random. There's no thing, the training division might be putting out, hose work for the month or whatever it is, but then, it might be 3 or 4 months before they put something else out, who knows? But like, you got to take that into your own hands. Now, I know not everybody has the opportunity to have training grounds and all these, props or anything at their wheelhouse, but there's plenty of videos. There's plenty of things out there to where you can, within $100, you can come up with some little prop to be able to work a tool in, just to know its mechanical advantages, just little things. But with that, like what I said, with our plan that we came out with, and Jeremy put it out on his crew first, and he got, I think, over 100+ responses wanting to see what it looked like and everything else. But like, it's Mayday Mondays, I'm trying to think, Tuesday, Wednesdays, wet Wednesdays, where it's all pumping and friction loss and
I like that,
tapping the hydrants and things like that. And Thursday was throwing Thursdays, I think, for ladders, okay. All things ladders, inviting the truck crew that's in, whether it's in your district or out, them at the training grounds, bring them out to your station to just go back over the truck, set it up, climb the aerial, work off the aerial, whatever it is. But every day, it was Sunday sermons and Saturday stretches, and just, that's what we did. So each skill set within it all week, we just listed out, piece of paper, listed out anything and everything we could do, whether it's low profile or what, one of the things with the Mayday deal was like, hey, what's in our pockets? What tools do you carry in your pockets?
Right on.
Because I can't remember, there was a story, a LOD or something, that basically the guy that was stuck, it was 2 guys and they were stuck, and it was like, hey man, get your rescue rope out. And the guy that it was in his pocket, he'd completely forgot, just because of the fight or flight or whatever it was, that he was in that situation where he stopped thinking. And the other guy was like, I know exactly what's in my partner's pocket. Hey, get your rescue rope. Let's get out of here. And he's like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So just simply knowing what your crew has in their pockets, is vital if you get in a bad way. And it takes 10, 15, 20 minutes to go out there. Everybody talk, everybody see what they got. Why do you use this tool? And then of course that's a rabbit hole, man. That's just a lead in to where you get into like, okay, you've got your modified channel locks that are for, going through locks and things like that. And then you're like, hey, let's go see you. Let's talk about this. Let's go watch a video on this. And then, it can go many, many ways, man. But that's one thing that I've been truly blessed with having Jeremy as a captain, man. I think we went out and stretched the other day. And I was off the other day when they first did it, and they did some time drills. And I was like, I came in, and of course I'm like, all right, it's my turn.
Let's get this on.
Yeah. And which luckily the first one didn't get aired, but then even Jeremy, he's so humble guy that he'll put out his mistakes. And that's what I love about him. He'll admit when he's wrong, or he'll post out when he just completely screws it up. And to have his back and on his side, when he did that last one, man, we were out there. I guarantee you, we were out there for about 2 hours, and we were in our gear, our packs on, and it was getting hot. And that last one that I did, when I masked out and I went on air and started flowing water, when I took and unhooked, I was like, all right, it's time to take a break. And I knew he was at that same level with me because he's a little bit older.
Sure.
So I might have a little bit of age. He's got a little age on me, so hopefully I can get on that.
Get a step on him.
No, but it was something as simple as, he didn't have his bottle on. He just running drills on and off, forgot to turn it on before the drill, and, his helmet falls off and that was that was one little domino that started the effect and everything else. But that's what, man, he's humble with it all, man, and he truly leads by example and shows that he's human, as we all are, man. Nobody's perfect, man. But
no, and there's
my first run was. Sorry, man.
No. I would say there's no better place to do it than the training ground. That's where you want it to happen.
Oh yeah, man.
Let the dominoes fall there all day long and learn from it.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
That's where when I got humbled when I went to FDT in that first year and went up there and we were doing that train the trainer, and I was with 3 really solid dudes that went up there with me, and I was the youngest one. I'm not sure exactly how I got looped into that bunch yet, but it was a catapult. It was a catalyst for my career. Between that and coming back and teaching the program to the whole department. But I got up there and it was like throwing ladders and doing that stuff. And I don't know the last time I threw a ladder. And I was gung-ho and thought I knew what I was doing. And boom, what did I do? Threw the ladder upside down, right in front of Jim McCormick, Presser. It was like, that was the most humiliating point in my career. And I was just like, at that point was like, I am, now, if I did it now, I would be a little bit more like, damn, I just had my head up my, rear. But then it was being more young and cocky and thinking I could do what I wanted to do. And it got shown that I didn't know what I was doing. And after that, it was like, I need to start paying attention more. I need to get into the details of the job and create the habits more or less by training constantly on those things. Because if you don't touch it in 6 months, you're really likely probably just to grab a ladder and throw it upside down. I've seen it in training every time. It doesn't matter. You get gung-ho and you're trying to compete or you're trying to do something in time, and boom, you throw it upside down. It's like, yeah, it's cool if it's going to the second story and you don't have to raise it. As soon as you go to raise it, you're like, all right. Yeah. So,
and those sets and reps matter, man. Those sets and reps mean so much. And like right now, I'm not reading it, but I'm listening to On Combat with Grossman, and he talks about there's so many examples he gives in there of life and death situations when the stress level rises and you get into the red zone, the gray zone. And if it's not something that you've trained on and you put the sets and reps on, you can throw it out the window. I mean, that's just all there is to it. It's not going to happen. And that's the crazy part is, luckily, most people go through their entire careers, if they are lackadaisical at all, and they'll never be put in that situation. But no one knows if they're going to be the one that is or isn't, and that's the part that you have to focus on. Those sets and reps matter.
Man, that is, for sure, man. That is, you got to create the habit, man. Otherwise, because you're going to fall back. Yep. You will fall back, and we've said that plenty of times at the station level in our trainings, man. It's where you're going to fall back to whatever you've been doing, and if it's in the recliner a lot, more than likely that's where you're going to fall right back to. So it's the discipline of it all, man, and that's kind of where when I do classes anywhere or anything else, it's my choice the reflection that I see in myself and or the verse that like comes out to me is Hebrews 12:11, man. And it more came when I was in the training division, but then it really hit me that, and I'll just read it to you, that no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful later on. However, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. So that literally just speaks to the discipline, the habit, creating the habit. If you don't, man, you're going to be shown it sooner or later. You might go your whole career without ever having to deal with it. It is very plausible that could happen, but you don't want to be that guy.
Right.
Just like you don't want to be that guy in the station that you're all by yourself. Everybody else is out doing whatever it is or talking, whether they're just having a cup of coffee. Those are where that crew integrity comes really solid, and that crew comes together is during those times, man. So don't find yourself on an island, but get discipline into the job and in life.
Ooh, I like that. Don't find yourself on an island. I really like that. I'm going to steal that one. All right. You love Forcible Entry. There's no doubt. And you make a badass prop. What's Forcible Entry? Talk about the prop for a minute. What all went into designing it and things like that. And your love for Forcible Entry, basically.
Well, the start of that was really my entry into it was just pure support and work. Between me and Lyndall were on the same shift at the same station when it was all kind of coming to. Brush had just got on, and he had kind of this little prop, but Lyndall had been working and doing, he's kind of a fabrication kind of guy, could weld and do some other little things, but he literally, we had the red door prop. I'm not going to name any names, but it was a red one that we had, and we taught on it, taught the whole department Forcible Entry, but it just created bad habits. It was a single door, one way. So that you didn't, even I had an issue when I trained on that and got good at one, basically hinges on the left and the knob on the right. I could do that all day in my sleep.
Just training to the prop, basically?
Yes. Yeah, you're training the prop, and that's what happened. It just had such a short prize on. The door wasn't full length and all these things that it was like, man, we need a better prop. And Lyndall started fabricating like metal, commercial metal frames and trying to support them up. And we'd go out and boom, two forces, and it just, right there. All right.
Right.
That was 1.0, and then it went to 2.0, and then Brush had this jam section, and then it basically evolved around that jam section and freaking became the OG prop that we have. And we kept the header to it because we ended up stenciling on AMDG, which the Latin for give glory to God, basically, okay. Type deal was stenciled on it, but we kept the header main piece to it because the rest of it, man, it was ugly. But it was the start of it all, and it took a beating, man, and it was in service probably until about 6 months ago.
Okay.
So, and then we're going on about 3.5. Golly, man, it's crazy to think about 3.5 years, almost 4 years of this of the prop being what it is. But man, it was something that happened in the back of the station.
Right.
Just pure passion and professionalism and just getting into it and the details and working through things, and 2.0, 2.5, 3.0 until we got something that we were like, dang, this is pretty cool. I wonder if you had it fabricated and made it clean. And we did. And then it just kind of with Brush and his outreach, man, that was huge.
Right.
And then a couple of people started hitting up for it. And we literally Facebook only marketing type deal until this last year or so, where Jeremy's kind of stepped up and took on the Instagram page and kind of, got the outreach a little bit further there.
Sure.
And man, between that and it's going amazing, man. We get a ton of support, a ton of kudos, and people just, giving us, awesome reviews.
Right. Well, it's an unbelievable prop.
It's just word of mouth. Yeah, it's word of mouth, man. It's full length, double door. You can do you can make any modifications you want to it.
Yes.
Really, to be honest, we're constantly kind of researching and developing other little things between we got the new commercial door sleeve and that little system that you can put on to where you can get a really good door crush and attach actual drop bars to it that secure it to the back. And so then you can go basically like you're going to a regular commercial door. You get it, you force it, you try to force commercial, and then you find that you've got a drop bar system. You can cut your carriage bolts, you can, hit it with the pike and drive them out, or whatever, however you want to defeat it. There's, a couple different ways that you
Sure.
can go at it and do whatever, but And beyond that, if you have a metal door, you just tap all the carriage bolts to it. You can put 100 freaking carriage bolts and, practice, practice driving, practice cutting, whatever it is. And so one of the newest things that we're coming out with is the lock sleeve. It's just got a bunch of like D-ring type deals and little secure places where you can put locks and chains and things like that, and kind of trying to work something out with Seth Taylor down in Texas with the Brasky and his unit. And he's got that forcible padlock deal and kind of package deal to where, people can buy that and you can have your forcible entry prop for residential, commercial. You can attach that sleeve to the outside for lock bust and chain bust and what weak chain, strong chain, just all depends. And one of the guys that kind of has been instrumental in that was Josh Piercy out of OKC, and he's got Training Solutions. That's his training side.
I want to get him to come on the scrap. So he's coming on the scrap.
Yeah, man.
It's probably be later in November, but yeah.
Yeah, he's solid, man. And so he's kind of been more the research development on that lock plate and everything else. So beyond, I mean, it just keeps going, man. And I'm more the finance. I'm the finance guy, and I've been labeled as a finance guy. But it's been funny because when we get to go to conferences and teach and that kind of thing, man, it's always they got to get the finance guy's approval. Going out and having a good time. It's like, hey, finance guy, what we got tonight? And it's kind of on an ongoing joke at this point. But man, between Brush and having his outreach and the instrumental part of the prop itself and the business, and just to be real, man, because I mean, anybody that's done business with friends or family or anything else knows that there's up and downs.
Sure.
And it was no different here, man. I hope that it doesn't rub any of them wrong, but yeah, we had our ups and downs, man. People had opinions and thoughts of where things were going to go. And it was rough for a little while and it's, early on. But thankfully, by the grace of God, that we didn't just pack it up and get pissed off at each other and walk away from it, that we all were grown men and we all made, compromises and whatever it was, and everybody. So to date, it's absolutely amazing relationship between all three guys and the business itself, and we just keep the ball rolling, man, and keep trying to. The window bar, kind of a security bar window prop that Brush is working on. That's another added deal, and the benefit of it all is that it breaks down, right? So like your big door props, I get them, and they will last just as longer than ours. I don't know. We've had multiple ones of ours. Our original ones are in the Colony, Texas, and they take a beating daily, and they're still rolling. And I mean, you're talking 3.5, 4 years in.
Right.
And I mean, give a shout out to Garrett Rice and those guys down and Scott Thompson at freaking Colony for believing in us. And I mean, buying one for every station. And that's the whole mindset with it, is that it is affordable. You can basically buy 3 for what you could get a big commercial one.
Sure.
You can put them at whether it's a volunteer house and they're doing a fundraiser for it, or they host a class to raise the money for it, whatever it is. It's affordable. It's portable. It fits. When we literally ship it, it fits on a single pallet. I sometimes can fit up to 3 on a single pallet to be able to ship to you, reduces cost. I mean, it's just,
that's awesome.
I'm not going to lie and say we're not making money, but we're not here to become millionaires by any stretch. We are literally, it's something that's out there to hopefully give back to the guys, because we've had several people that have taken it and built their own off of it. More power to them. But typically when we talk to those guys, it's like, yeah, man, we're into the 3rd try of this thing, and they're pretty much at the same cost.
Right.
That's kind of the key point, is keep it low enough cost to where even if they want to do it themselves, that it's really not that beneficial unless they just want the ownership of it.
Right.
Yeah. And that was the thing that freaking Garrett Rice did for us in one of his posts, man, because he believed in us and he bought one for their own personal training deal. He freaking did a post about the teamwork that this thing brings in, because not only, are you getting this prop, but as a crew, you're building it, you're painting it, you're stenciling it, you're owning that thing. You are putting time and effort into this thing. And it's just, you don't get that out of anything else. So that was one of the biggest posts, I think, reactions. Like, honestly, when he made that post on Facebook, I bet I got 20 emails within 30 minutes.
Right on.
They were just like, oh my God. And it was just like, I can't even thank him enough, man. So
Well, I personally
Pretty
love the
awesome.
prop, and I say that because we have one, and I'm using it Thursday. We have a Tactical Tuesday on Thursday because of Hazmat Ops refresher. But it's on Thursday, and they have to force the door and go inside. Zero vis, make a grab, advance the hose down the hallway. So it's a great thing, and that it all starts right there at that Woods Forcible Entry prop, making entry into the house in our simulation of our training.
Appreciate it, man.
It's awesome, man. It is a great prop. All right, and speaking of Scott Thompson in the colony, this is one of the questions I wanted to throw at you and close this question part out with. But he basically made a post yesterday, and I found it on Facebook. And basically, he just said he was asking the Facebook community, and I love Scott Thompson. Chief Thompson's amazing, man. He said to the Facebook community, in your opinion, do those we serve want their fire department to be really, really good at a few things or average at many things? And he was just basically sparking debate. What does the public expect of us? Do they want us to be experts at a few or average at many? What's your answer to that, to Scott Thompson's question to Facebook?
Expert at a few or average in many? Man, well...
I got my answer. I'll tell you
mine. I can't go. I mean, I literally can't go with average at many. I don't like average anything really,
right,
personally and honestly. But in my perspective of the question, not that it's loaded, but being an expert at a few with many experts, then that would be like, as when I'm talking about our crew, like I can't be an expert at everything.
Right.
I can know and love and do everything I can with the engine, and maybe one of the guys is more of a forcible entry guy, one of the guys is more of a ladders guy, one of the guys is more of a construction guy, one of the guys is an electrical guy. It's knowing, to me, it's that right there. Having a leader, informal, formal leader that is going to find the strengths of his crew and the experts of his crew that will, when on scene, he's humble enough and not egotistical or micromanagement, that he will rely on his experts to give the citizens the expert level of care.
I like that. So basically both. Because my answer was going to be but no, I was going to say the public expects experts at everything. That's what they expect.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, whether that's realistic or not, I don't think that was what Chief Thompson was asking. I do love your answer, though, which is... man, find the guys who are passionate about something, embrace it and accelerate it and enable it, empower it, and then be humble enough to step back and let them be the man when it's time for them to do their thing. Dude, that's an awesome answer. So
sometimes it's just the guy that likes to talk.
Hey, more often than not, when dealing with the public, that is a very important key aspect.
Yeah.
So moving on from that, I always like to ask my guests if they have a book or books that they think firefighters should read. So do you have a book or a book that you think firefighters should read?
So mindset wise, which you brought up on combat, which I've listened to and read, and I really like that. That's a huge good base for both mental and physical and just the mindset and overcoming things. But a mindset one that really comes to mind is Deep Survival, Lawrence Olive. Kind of more going into the theory of knowing why people do things that are somewhat irrational.
Just makes no sense.
Talking about,
right.
Yeah, like, I mean, one of the deals is like, snowmobilers are going up a mountain. They know that the avalanche crews that have been setting off the deals to control the avalanches haven't been up in, months, and they know that it's like an 80-90% chance of an avalanche. And what one guy still just keeps riding on. And what happens? It's like, so why? And that's knowing and trying to figure out getting more. And I wish, and if I ever go back to get my master's or anything else, it will probably be more along those lines of the psychology end of things.
Right.
Is just knowing why people do things, why the mind works, the switches, and people being able to turn those things off and just keep going, even though they're staring like death in their eyes, or it might be something that's going on in their life or whatever it is. But Lawrence, that's a Deep Survival is really good into that mindset of why we do certain things that are just pretty damn irrational.
Right.
So,
oh, yeah.
And I've done several of them, and it kind of was like eye-opening, like, but just a solid read and a really good entertainment piece. It's got a lot of good lessons, don't get me wrong, is Get It On by Kenny Thomas. It's his take, his story on the Battle of Mogadishu, Black Hawk Down. He was on the ground. I was fortunate enough to go up to a leadership conference up in, if I'm not mistaken, it was Portland. It's been several years ago. But got up there and he was one of the speakers, man. And by hands down, he was the best one for the week. And just captivating, entertaining. He's a Nashville recording artist, country music type guy. And so, but he tells his take on it and has a lot of life lessons in it. And one of the biggest lessons is basically, you know, I mean, it's simple in thought and everything else that we think about. And everybody has that thought, is that we are as strong as our weakest link, right?
Right.
That's the nature of the beast. Like, no matter what, if we have a crew of 4 and we're down in a situation, and it's a mayday situation, we're only going to be as strong as that weakest guy. If he rips his mask off, everybody else has now just got worse for everybody. But if everybody can be strong, and or we can pick each other up along the way, whether it's putting in a plan of action or, you know, weekly trainings or whatever else to get ourselves mind right and being in our gear once a tour, whatever it is. But that's literally, he goes through a spill on one of the guys that was introduced to his crew that nobody cared for, nobody liked. And he could have honestly been like, you know, hey, we got to get rid of this guy. But instead, make it an advantage, find his strengths. There's always a reason for it. Find what he's good at. And he ended up being the one, when shit hit the fan, that he, you know, when they were crossing the street and laying cover fire, he was the one that grabbed another guy and basically saved his life, because the guy was starting to freak out and he was the one that was the stronger link at that point. And it's because they didn't give up on him, because they put in the time and effort that they needed to get him where he needed to be, because he was part of the crew. It doesn't matter if you get assigned a brand new guy or a 15-year guy that's a freaking bump on the log. Guess what? He's your problem now. He is your guy.
He is your guy.
You know, so start. And you don't have to get all crazy and be gung-ho the whole time, but just start chipping away at it, man. Make him an asset to that crew somehow, some way. So, but yeah, man, if you ever have a chance and he's speaking anywhere around or anything else, man, the story on its own is, you know, just an amazing story of the Black Hawk Down and what they went through down there on the streets, man. It was intense, and he's a really good storyteller. So
get it on. And who is the speaker?
His name's Kenny Thomas.
Kenny Thomas. Okay. Making sure I got that right. Okay. Good deal. Awesome. Okay. Well, I do this thing every scrap. It's called 5 Questions for Firefighters. All right. And it's simple 5 questions, no trick questions. It's only about your opinion, and the points are arbitrary. So, Justin Mann, are you ready for the 5 questions for firefighters?
Let's see what you got.
All right. Question number 1. What is the number 1 issue facing the modern fire service? It's a softball, see?
Complacency.
I love that. I love that answer. So, any elaboration, or is that it? Just one word?
I mean, the pure discipline of the job and not getting into the comfortable lifestyle of that a firefighter can, you know.
No, 100%.
Refiners or whatever it is.
If you know Firehouse Vigilance, the whole reason it was started is the never-ending fight against complacency. So if you say that answer, you get max points automatically. So,
all right.
Number 2.
Family feud's over, bro.
What is the thing you are most excited about for the future of firefighting?
The first thing that pops into my mind is the push and the resurgence of the low pressure line and the nozzle, and getting away from automatics. So
nice. That
is what I'm excited to see and excited to be a part of, and getting knowledge and information out there that is truly my belief and my passion, that's what you should be in. So
no question on where you fall on the fog nozzle versus smoothbore debate.
Well, not fog versus smoothbore.
Okay.
Now, automatic.
Okay.
Versus.
You gotta be very clear in our
I don't hate fog nozzles. I think fog nozzle has a purpose, and if that's what kind of type of nozzle and you wish to be able to have a straight stream, that it'll provide a no pitch or whatever. I love Elkhart, so having a chief fixed at 50 at 160 matched with my 7/8 underneath, if that's the choice. Now, if I have a choice to just run straight smoothbore, simple is better.
Fair enough.
Simplicity.
No, I like it.
No variables. No variables.
I know that. Yes. Okay. I'll leave it there. In your opinion, what is the best rank or position to be in the fire service?
Whichever one you're in. That, I mean, you have to you can't be, it's almost like trying to live up with the Joneses or looking in the past or looking towards the future. Live for where you are and learn everything you can in that position at that time and love it. Doesn't matter if you want to be an officer and you have to be a driver, man. You will learn and be a better officer if you, to me, become and do that driver. If that's the mindset and the culture, I say, of your fire department, is that you have to go through progress, then you know exactly what sector you're driving and what he's going to be doing all the time. So
I can say
love and live in the position you're in.
I say about 20 times I've asked these 5 questions. These have evolved, but about 20 times I've asked that. It's the first time anyone's ever said that. But basically, you're saying wherever you're at, be all there. I'm not sure who said that.
Be all in.
Be all in. I like it.
All right. Didn't hit Mark gone off and on not too long ago?
I did.
Or is he coming on?
No, he did. He was on the big 4. Absolutely. Be all in. All in attitude.
All in.
All out effort. Number 4, the best advice you have ever received.
Oh, man. Best advice that I've ever received. Automatic nozzle lied to you.
Now say that one more time because I think say it.
Automatic nozzles lie to you.
Lie to you.
That's just kind of they lie to you. They're always covering up their insecurities and their flaws and their kinks and if they're clogged or no matter what, you always have a good looking stream and it gives you a good reach, right?
Right. So, no, they're catfishing.
It's kind of you could say it's like going to the strip club and
there it is.
The lights are dim and everybody looks great, right? And then the sun comes out. It's like, whoa, wait, change, time out. So no.
What just happened? Automatic nozzles lie to you. I like that. I like it. All right. Number 5, heavy fire and tenable space. Would you rather be assigned to the nozzle or first in on VES?
Make the grab.
Make the grab. That's hard to argue with.
I love engine. I love hose. I love stretching. I love flowing water, man. But they play on each other. Don't get me wrong. Because to be able to if I can go in and isolate the door. Now, if there's no door, I really need the engine even more. Sure. And you can have that trucky engine debate right there by all means. But truckies definitely need the engine guys. But I've made some good fire attacks and made some. There's nothing like it. I've never actually got to make a grab, say VS style or anything else, and that would be definitely like a bucket list. I want to be that guy. I want to be the guy that's coming to rescue me. If that's what it calls me to do on that day, I want to be that guy. If it happens, I want to be there.
No, and that's the mindset you have to keep that complacency at bay, man. So that's awesome. Awesome answers. Dude, awesome. 5 questions for firefighters. Justin Mann. Max points on number 1 for sure. All the rest of them, good answers. Best place to contact you, anything you want to talk about, where do you get the Woods Forcible Entry prop? I know Mid-America Fools has the Mid-America Conference coming up in November. What else is going on for you right now?
Man, it's been pretty, low-key with the whole COVID and everything.
Yeah,
There's not been, we got to go and teach first conference kind of since the whole COVID came out, was up at the Wake of the Ozarks, the Revolutionary Fire Tactics Lake up there, that conference up there. It's been a good one. It's been 3 years running now that we've been a part of, and we had a freaking amazing cadre up there this year. Awesome. Between Lendo and Luke, and we got to bring our newer guys with us, Garrett, and we actually got to have a guy join in from Arkansas, Josh Cox, which he's been kind of bouncing around, and so that was an awesome opportunity. And beyond the kind of local guys, it was Todd Edwards from Atlanta and Jonathan Brumley from. We did it was called Mile High to the South. So guys from, Denver all the way Oklahoma and all the way out to Jonas Smith out in the Carolinas.
That's awesome.
That was a huge opportunity. So, it was looking like water on the fire possibly. That got, no go there. We've got November with the Fools. We got November with the Illinois Conference up in with Jeff Bryant and those guys up there. And I think it's in Rockford this year, somewhere up in that area where we're going to be doing a Stretching for Success class.
Sweet.
Up there with Brush and Ray, hopefully, as long as nothing goes crazy and that goes down or whatever. So
it's all the caveat always.
Beyond that, Yeah, man. Right now, you're just playing it by ear, man. Whatever we can get in, we can get in. It's awesome to get back out there and get around the guys and spread the love and do all that, man. And honestly, my gear is more turning towards attending conferences. I would love to take, once this kind of ramps back up, is just picking 2 or 3 conferences in 2021 and just literally going and taking them.
Just taking it, yeah, just enjoying them. Yes.
I want to go be, and I mean, I think as instructors, you can get so wrapped up in the instructor side and not continue to grow. I mean, you get so caught up in your own little niche that you start to slowly kind of just, you create your own bubble, and then we're not getting out of our bubbles anymore. And then we're, internal and sticking external and all that. So
sure.
That's my thing, is I want to get out there and just I want to go and be a student, man. Yeah. I mean, it's awesome to be an instructor. It is a privilege. It's humbling and everything else. And it is a ton of work. Don't get me wrong. And I love it. I prep. And I hope whatever class, if you've ever been to any of our classes, that you've gotten everything out of them that we've tried to deliver, and it's been organized and everything else. Cause I'm kind of a organized nut, a little bit on the, OCD and things like that when it comes to all that and planning things out. Doesn't always go, but so yeah, man, we got a couple coming up and we'll see if they play out, man.
Awesome. Dude, I've had a blast today. I've enjoyed talking to you. The 5 questions for firefighters, the books you suggested, and of course the whole discussion we had. It was a good time. Coming up, first guest in September, Benjamin Martin of Embrace the Resistance. Dennis Riley, you mentioned Jonathan Brumley. He's coming up in September. Jason Patton, John Villado. So make sure you tune in and catch the weekly scrap coming up. Thank you to everyone for tuning in tonight, catching it on podcast, listening to it, and you guys truly make the scrap great. And mostly tonight, thank you, Justin Mann, for being the guest on Weekly Scrap, number 45. Thank you, sir, for coming on.
Thank you, man. Have a great night, bro.
Everybody else, I hope the tone stays silent unless it's burning. Stay safe out there.